You know that friend. The one who said I'll be there and then at 7:45 p.m. sent the text. Hey, not feeling great. Rain check. And you were annoyed. Maybe a little hurt. But here's what nobody tells you about that friend. They weren't lying to you. They were telling the truth about themselves. And today on Why We Do It, we're breaking down the real psychology behind why some people genuinely, deeply, without apology, love staying home. Science has a name for it. And it's not what you think. Here's where most people get it wrong. They call it laziness, antisocial behavior, even depression. But psychologists have studied this for decades, and what they found is this. The human nervous system does not work the same way in every person. Neuroscientist Elaine Aron's research on highly sensitive people, a trait found in roughly 20% of Americans, shows that some nervous systems process the world more deeply than others. More input. More noise. More stimulation. And when that system gets overloaded, it doesn't crash loudly. It quietly says, I need to go home. Hans Eysenck's optimal arousal theory takes it further. Your brain has a baseline level of stimulation it needs to function well. For some people, a crowded rooftop bar in Manhattan hits that level in about 11 minutes. For others, home already is the stimulation. The thoughts. The quiet. The richness of their own inner world doing its thing. That's not dysfunction. That's just a different kind of wiring. But here's the part that hits different, especially for Americans. We live in one of the loudest cultures on earth. Hustle culture. Social media. The constant pressure to be out there, networking, brunching, showing up, being seen. And for a lot of people, especially people with anxiety, high sensitivity, or past trauma, that world feels like a game where nobody gave you the rules. Unpredictable. Loud. Exhausting before it even starts. But at home? You control the lighting. You control the noise. You control who gets access to you, and when. For people with anxiety, that's not a preference. That's regulation. That's survival. And there is nothing weak about knowing what your nervous system needs to feel safe. Now here's something that might change how you see yourself. Studies out of the University of Buffalo found that people who are comfortable with solitude, people who genuinely enjoy being alone, score significantly higher in creativity, emotional resilience, and self-awareness. The best ideas in American history didn't come from parties. They came from someone alone with a thought they couldn't shake. Edison in his lab. Maya Angelou in a rented motel room, writing. Steve Wozniak building the first Apple computer, alone in his cubicle at night. Staying home isn't doing nothing. It's doing everything, just on the inside. But here's where Why We Do It gets honest with you. Because not everyone who stays home is thriving in solitude. Some people stay home because walking out the door genuinely feels impossible. Because social anxiety has convinced them the world outside is a threat. Because depression has flattened everything until the couch is the only thing that asks nothing from them. And for those people, home stopped being a refuge. It became a sentence. So ask yourself, and be real with yourself when you do. Do I stay home because it fills me up? Or do I stay home because leaving feels too heavy to carry? One is a superpower. The other is a signal that you might need more than a quiet Saturday. You might need to talk to someone. And that's not weakness. In America, where we've been told to just push through, asking for help is actually the harder, braver thing. For the people who genuinely love home though, and you know who you are. There's something that researchers call low stimulation preference. These are the people who find joy in what most of America rushes past. The first cup of coffee before anyone else in the house is awake. The specific corner of the couch that's yours. The way afternoon light moves across the room like it's going somewhere important. The rerun you've seen 14 times that still somehow lands. These aren't small things. These are rituals. And rituals, psychologists will tell you, are one of the most powerful anchors for mental health that exist. The people who rush past them to chase the highlight reel? They're often the ones who feel the most empty at the end of the week. Here's the thing about living in the United States right now. We are surrounded by a culture that tells us constantly, more is more. More events. More connections. More experiences. More content. The influencer life. The FOMO machine. The idea that if it's not on your story, it didn't count. But the research tells a different story. A 2019 study in the journal Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that Americans who regularly chose solitude over social obligation reported higher levels of emotional clarity, lower stress cortisol, and, here's the word, contentment. Not happiness. Contentment. That quiet, settled feeling of being exactly where you're supposed to be. That's what a solo Saturday actually gives people. Not missing out. Opting in. To something real. So if you're the person who cancels not because you don't care, but because you know exactly what you need to feel like yourself, you're not broken. You're not boring. You are, according to the science, likely more self-aware, more creative, and more emotionally regulated than the people judging you from the party you didn't attend. But here's the question I want you to sit with. Not answer out loud. Just sit with it. Are you at home because it's where you come alive? Or are you at home because somewhere along the way, the world made you feel like you didn't belong out there? Because those are two very different answers. And only you know which one is true. Drop a comment and tell me. Home because you love it. Or home because it's easier. No judgment here. This is why we do it, where we go past the surface and into the real reason behind everything humans think, feel, and choose. Subscribe if this hit somewhere specific. Like this video if you've ever felt genuinely, completely happy on a Friday night with nowhere to be. And the next video, we're going into why some people physically cannot stop helping others, even when it's destroying them. Click it. Because if you've ever put everyone else first and wondered why you're always exhausted, that one is going to explain the last 10 years of your life.